Hi, welcome. I'm glad that you decided to do this course. Now we are starting the first module of this course, and we are going to do a general introduction to the software. We are going to see first what's the purpose of a 3D application, generally speaking, but soon we will focus on the particular benefits of Blender and in which areas it beats the other alternatives that are in the market. We'll know also about the Blender Foundation and the origins of the software, so a bit of history, not boring, I promise. And later I'll also give you a link to a written PDF that you can download and find some online resources that related to Blender. So let's get started. 3D is a computer technology that allows us to represent things by working in a three-dimensional workspace. This workspace is, in other words, something that we can define using a three-axis coordinate system. These axes are called X, Y, and Z. There are tons of 3D tools. There are many tools that serve to 3D editing. All of them share more or less the same purpose. And Blender is just one among those tools. People use 3D software for many different things. Some use it to do cartoon movies, architects and interior designers use it to show their projects to clients. It's also widely used in the video games and cinema industry, in motion graphic design, and in areas that until very recently were highly experimental, such as 3D printing. Working within a three-axis coordinate system gives us some possibilities that we lack in software that works mainly in two dimensions, such as GIMP, Photoshop, Inkscape, Illustrator, you name it. But since 3D software comes with a lot of additional features, usually it's harder to learn than 2D software also. As we've already said, all 3D software has some kind of common ground and similarities. So it's so usual the debate about if Blender is better or worse than 3ds Max or Cinema 4D, just to mention two. Since each software has its strengths and in some areas and some weaknesses in other areas, there isn't really an absolute or a short answer to this issue. We can agree, at least, that there is software that is better suited for some users, and other software are better for other users who have other needs. From its origin, Blender was a software targeted to small and medium-sized studios, independent artists, freelance professionals, and so. That doesn't mean that Blender can be helpful to a big corporation, but the thing is that the priorities or the particular needs of a big corporation are not among the priorities of development of Blender. The development priorities of Blender are the ones from independent artists and freelance professionals instead. So now come with me and we will see some things on the computer. We see now for the first time Blender's interface. We are going to progressively take over many aspects, so don't worry if you don't understand everything right from the beginning. Notice how the workspace is divided into sections. We call them windows. The most prominent one is the 3D view, and we can see here a cube, a lamp, and a camera. we also can notice some kind of grid below. All this is the space where we are going to create and modify objects. In the second module, we are going to learn how to move inside. Now we focus on what we see without having to do anything. Related to the grid, we can see two axes, X painted in red and Y, which is green. Both of them and Z, which is not visible by default, but it's the vertical one, obviously, form what we call the global coordinate system. If you look at the right side of this window, you can see a panel that we can show and hide, alternatively, just by pressing the N key. Make sure the mouse cursor is over the proper window every time you press any shortcut. This panel, in a very short and inexact definition, gives us options over what we see. For example, we can make Z-axis appear by activating this option at the display subpanel. On the left side of the window we can see another panel. It's more about actions than about options, and we can show and hide it by pressing T key. To open and save a Blender file, we can do it through the options in the File menu. Keep in mind that within a single window of Blender, we can open only a single Blender file. But we can open several instances of Blender, each with its own file loaded.